We are recording. I almost forgot. So I'm just going to give like a 2-minute overview here of where we're at, because it's been a while since we've been together. Once again, if you're not familiar with us, this is what our goal is. We are trying to create a healthy city by reducing the environmental impact from commercial buildings in Detroit, construction and transportation emissions. We currently have over 51 million square feet of commercial space dedicated in the city of Detroit alone. And yes, this includes houses of worship and multifamily. We have about 40 businesses that support us financially and help bring this program to our members. It's free for our building members. And then we have about 40 nonprofits that we team up with in the city of Detroit. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reduce energy and water consumption and transportation emissions. We track our reductions through Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So many of our buildings learn how to start an account, how to track their energy and water reduction. It's all free for us to help you do that. We are working on a lot in the EV and charging station area now, since it's so popular. We're working to help our members understand how to reduce all of these emissions and to track them, mostly through Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Then they share their data with us and we anonymously aggregate it so we can talk about our reductions. And who are our members? Our members are property owners and facility managers, and it's free for them to belong. And we take any building in the city of Detroit, anywhere. There's 3 districts in Michigan, in case you don't know, Grand Rapids and Ann Arbor. None of us have ventured out really out of our particular cities, but there's a lot of interest in that. Professional stakeholders are the businesses that support us, for-profit businesses, and then community stakeholders are the nonprofits that I mentioned earlier. And we have 3 best practice groups in the city of Detroit, this being one of them, and the other 2 are Venue Museum. The museum group went national, so we have a national museum group now for all 20-30 districts across North America. There's actually 24 districts in total. And the multifamily best practice group in Detroit is growing too. So I think that's all I have for an update. When we're done, I do have some future, after we go through the grant, Kendall's going to talk about a little bit more of our programs and what we have coming up. So, but right now I really would like to get into the grant opportunity and welcome Richard Kilmer, the consultant for the Climate Witness Project, and Stephen Mulder, who is a Michigan Regional Coordinator for Climate Witness Project. So they can talk a little bit about this program, and you guys can throw your questions into the chat box. I'm very excited about this grant opportunity. So Richard, I'll let you take it away.
Hey, thanks, Connie, and thanks to you and to Kendall for organizing this meeting. This is great. It's terrific to see all of these committed people. Really does feel good. Let me tell you a story that actually happened about 5 years ago or so, that I've been thinking about sort of ever since I heard it. A friend of mine was visiting a church in New Jersey and talked to the pastor. It was a low-income congregation, and the pastor said that one of the major challenges that they had was that the amount of money that they were spending on energy was about equal to her salary. And, which just didn't seem right. But because the building was old and was not energy efficient at all, it kept losing energy. I mean, they were heating the outdoors. And but they didn't have enough money to be able to do anything about it. I mean, they weren't able to fix the building to make it energy efficient so that they wouldn't lose all of that energy and all of the money that it costs to heat. They didn't have air, but I mean, it was to heat that building. And so there's been a number of conversations about that. And one of the things that was sort of in my head, and I think in some other people's heads as well, is I wish there were some way that we could find enough money to be able to at least show a region, a state, even a large metropolitan area, what might be possible, what energy efficiency would look at. We started talking to the governor's office about that question, actually, and that we spent some time developing that relationship, and then that led to a wonderfully productive conversation with Eagle, the Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy Department of the Michigan government. And Lisa Thomas, who's our program officer, actually is on this call, which is great, from Lansing. And she works for the energy office of Eagle. And what we came up with and what was approved was a capacity to be able to help 10 congregations do a couple of things. First of all, would be to have enough money to be able to make their buildings energy efficient, so that it won't lose the energy. It won't be heating the out of doors. And second is to have access to solar energy. And we have a plan for that as well. And Steve Moulder will talk to you about how that's going to work. So we decided to make grants of $100,000 to 10 congregations throughout the state. And we really are aiming and are pretty optimistic that we're going to be able to have enough applicants so that we will be able to have congregations, houses of worship that are located in a variety of places throughout the state. Now, these grants are for low-income congregations. And by that, we mean that the operating budget is under $250,000. Now, that's separate from what we call the mission budget, where the money is given away to our community in a variety of ways. And so we're not counting that fund. So there are actually probably more congregations that are under 250,000. And so that's who we're aiming at. We have some other criteria like 10 years of operation, 50 or more members. It's a public building, not residential. But we do really hope that the applicants will be those that have been engaged in the community, do a variety of kinds of ministries, helping people, and food pantries, soup kitchens, variety of healthcare options, work with returning citizens, whole bunch of things. And certainly we want to include responses to COVID. And I know lots of congregations throughout Michigan, throughout the country, have been engaged in responding to COVID because it was such a major human catastrophe, really, which caused the communities a lot of pain. And we know that houses of worship were right there, and that was important. We do expect that because of the energy efficiency and because of solar energy, that each congregation might be able to save as much as 15% of their budget, about $13,000 if you're looking at cash as the amount of money. And that we hope that whatever is saved by energy efficiency and by solar, that those funds can be put into the ministries that work with communities. So that will increase that congregation's role as one that cares about their neighborhood, that one that cares about their community. And so that would be a really important piece of what this is all about. So again, we're talking about operating budget of less than 250,000. The deadline for the applications is December, right? September 12th. And so you got about a month and a couple weeks to submit. You can submit online. Connie has sent you all of the information about how you do that, how you actually apply, and where you can find more information online. And we have some printed materials as well that describe what this is all about. And I'm eager to have conversations with you all. I know you're going to be putting questions and comments and thoughts into the chat, and that's fine. But I think it'd be good if they hear from my colleague and good friend, Steve Mulder, who works for the Climate Witness Project on solar energy in particular. And Steve, you want to kind of describe how that part of the project is going to work?
Yes. Thanks, Rich, and thanks, Connie and Kendall, for having us. So the Climate Witness Project is now working with about 350 or 400 churches. There's partners from that number of churches. About 22 denominations are represented. And we've got about maybe a dozen churches that have gone to solar, and almost all of them have done it the same way. They do a capital campaign, they raise the money, and they buy the panels, and they go. And if the churches have the resources to do that and the expertise to do that, that's great. But a lot of churches don't. And so about 5 years ago or so, I learned of a church in Bethany, Gallup, Mexico, Bethany Church, and a guy named Rick Cruz, who was a retired physician. And he had what to me was a unique way of approaching going solar. And what it was is he and some friends of his in his church created an LLC, a limited liability corporation, and they invested in the panels. And so it was actually the corporation that bought the panels for the church. And then the corporation had a contract with the church to sell them the power. And what the big advantage of that is that allowed them to take advantage of the investment tax credit that was at that time about a third of the cost of the whole project. So they were able to save a third of the cost of the project for their church. And so they've been operating now for a number of years, and New Mexico happens to have a much better net metering setup than Michigan does. And so they're actually producing all of the energy they need, electric energy that they need, and actually making money by selling the excess to the utilities in New Mexico. So there's a couple things there that make that especially advantageous. The fact that they're in New Mexico where the sun's shining a lot, and the fact that they have such a much better a government approach with utilities. But I thought that's a really cool idea, and we started trying to get other churches in our group, other congregations interested in that. And then I found out about the Solar Faithful group on the east side of the state, and several of those folks are on the call right now, Murray and Diane. And so I learned that they were very successful in finding 5 or 6 congregations and nonprofits to do the same approach. And so I really got excited about that and started looking for other churches to take that same approach on the west side of the state. At the same time, I was thinking, wow, we could really, if we could do this on a little bit bigger scale, maybe get 10 congregations to go in this together, we could probably take advantage of some economies of scale and save the churches and congregations even more, and nonprofits even more. And so that kind of, we ended up with a sort of a collaboration of Solar Faithful, Michigan Interfaith Power and Light, a developer in West Michigan called Charthouse Energy, who has been in the solar for a lot of years and knows a lot of investors also. So we've been working on this for, I think, maybe 6 months or so, and we now have about 65 companies that are very interested in this, or not companies, the congregations. I'm sorry, my grandson is saying hi to me from the window. Kind of distracted me. Hi, Wesley. So we got about 65 that we've talked to that are very interested, and about a dozen that are ready to sign on. So this will be a pilot. And the big advantage to these churches is they will be able to engage in this pilot project without putting any money down, without doing any research. All they have to do is sign this power purchase agreement with we're going to create an LLC ourselves that will handle all that to purchase the power. And so what'll happen is whatever power is produced from those panels on their building or on their grounds will be sold to them for 10% less than they're paying for their power from the utility. So that's the skinny, really, is they have to put down, they don't have to do any research, they don't have to have any expertise, they don't have to do any fundraising, because they don't have to put any money down. They just on day one start saving 10% on the cost of electricity. So as I said, we're looking at this as a pilot, but so we think of this pilot group of maybe 10 or 12 or 15 churches who as a cohort. And so this cohort will do this together in Michigan, but then we'll follow up with other cohorts, assuming that the project goes well, which we totally think it will. So what the thought was then is maybe we can combine these 2 projects so that this group of congregations that take advantage of this efficiency project will also be able to go solar later on. They can become a separate cohort, or they could become, individual churches or congregations could take part in other cohorts. So that's the concept. I guess the one thing I wanted to add, we were trying to think of, what would be a good name for this project, this approach, and realized that, well, the group that's been doing this already is Solar Faithful. And why don't we just call this expanded approach also Solar Faithful? So that's what we're calling it. So the solar piece is the Solar Faithful project, and we're hoping to connect it back to the Sacred Spaces project after the congregations have their efficiency measures. So if you have questions, I'm happy to take those.
Great. Thank you, Rich and Stephen. Before we get into questions, I do want to say that I did send the information out to most of you. We will for sure resend how to apply and all that information after this to everybody, so that you have easy access to the email. I'm going to put it and try to put it in the chat too. But so I think I saw a few questions on there, Kendall.
Yeah, I see 2 questions, and then we can open it up and people can raise their hand or come off mute. There was a question about what is the definition of low income? And then also just confirming the operating budget is under 250,000 in order to be eligible for the grant that we're discussing today. Those are the 2 questions.
Yeah, and they're really one question, and the answer is yes. The operating budget has to be under 250,000. And I use the word operating because what that means is it's not the mission funds. It's not the funds that are given away. It's the actual cost of running the congregation. And so that's what low income means. And again, the date by which we need congregations to apply is September 12th. So we've got a month or so to apply. But I guess I do urge you to apply early if that's possible, because would like to begin to learn more about each congregation that applies, and that's going to take some time.
Rudolph had his hand raised, and then there was one other question in the chat. Go ahead, Rudolph.
Okay, hi. My
Hi.
name is Rudy Marco. I'm from St. Matthew St. Joseph's Episcopal Church. We're at 8850 Woodward at 48202 zip code. And we certainly qualify under the operating budgets of less than 250,000. We make that one easily. But my question is, well, I guess it's kind of two questions. The first one that came to mind was after the applications are taken, how long will it take for the grants to be awarded between deadline and actual monies being distributed?
Yeah. We're actually not sure of the exact date because we don't know how many applicants we're going to get, but we will obviously move as quickly as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I suggested if you can get the applications in, soon, that helps us kind of get a head start here. I mean, if we have to deal with 50 applicants and learn about that, that's going to take some time. So, yeah. I would hope that my own hope, but this is not a guarantee, is that in October sometime we'll know who the who the 10 churches are.
Okay. And I guess the other part then is, and I'm sure all of this obviously is going to be in the application, but just kind of an overview on what are the things that you're looking for a church to qualify?
Yeah, we're taking taking a couple of the criteria which might fit under the word diversity. Well, and we mean it in a number of ways. Obviously, we're talking about racial, ethnic diversity. We're also talking geographical. We don't want all 10 churches to be in Grand Rapids. We want them to be throughout the state, and including the UP. In fact, I think a number of us feel some obligation that, at least needs to be one UP congregation. And I've already had conversations with people from around the state, so I think we're going to meet that one pretty well. But that is important. I think the strength of the community involvement is going to be important. How strong has it been, especially during COVID? And in some ways, that's almost an easy one, because I know that the kinds of congregations that may apply for this are those who were very active and did a lot of hand-holding of people as they went through the pandemic. I mean, it was a really hard time, and houses of worship I think, played an incredibly effective role, one that I think we can be proud of. And so we're talking about those congregations. And
Okay.
and as I was saying before, that the money that is saved, we hope will then be used by that congregation to increase their community involvement. So those are some of the major things that we're looking at. It would also be good to have denominational and faith group diversity as well. You know, we don't want to have all Presbyterians. We want to have we want to have lots of denominations and faith groups involved.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So we did have a couple other questions in the chat. I think the first one is, are there any limits on the Solar Faithful project?
Well, the Solar Faithful project is, it's not a grant-driven project, so we don't have those kinds of limitations. It's the financing is done by a group of people who are, they call themselves impact investors. They're interested in doing good things with their money, but they're also interested in making money. So they're going to make money on this project. So there aren't any limits in terms of income or anything like that for the congregations. And I should say, I think I've been saying congregations all along, but we're also looking for faith-based nonprofits to participate. And similar to what Rich was saying about diversity, we're looking for, we already have a number of different faith traditions that are probably going to sign up, and also looking for the same sort of income diversity and ethnicity and so on and so forth. One thing we're hoping is when the pilot is successful, that we will, well, I didn't mention this, but one of the things we're doing is raising $50,000 as a sort of a backstop, should there be any financial problems with any of the participants. We're hoping that once we have that money in place, that we will able to then offer the project to lots more low-income congregations who might otherwise not be able to participate. And the reason for that is because the investors need to have some sense of security that they're not going to lose their shirts on the deal. So no limits, and hopefully we'll be able to offer this to lots of different kinds of congregations and nonprofits.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and I guess you know, it's probably obvious by now, but because we've got a program that's got two aspects, the energy efficiency aspects and the solar energy part, congregations chosen will be ones that marry those two well. You know what I mean? I mean, so, and I'm sure that's going to happen fairly easily, but it does need to be it needs to be a good marriage between those two.
I just think one other thing that I should have added. So if for some reason, if any congregation that wants to participate in the Sacred Spaces program is not able to do that, they can still participate in the Solar Faithful project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And-
and real fast on that, for the Solar Faithful project, Steve, we talked about having him present at more information at a future meeting for us, so we can kind of really dig in a little bit more deep to
Yeah,
your program.
That would be great, especially if we could do it after we launch the pilot. Then we'll have some more experience that we can share.
And when is the pilot being launched?
Very soon.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, maybe like this fall, you know, something like that. We could regroup as a house of worship and learn more about that program. Okay, great.
That'd be great.
Thank you. And we have a couple other questions. Could you clarify the minimum and maximum grant request and how many grants you intend to disperse?
Yeah, we're going to disperse 10 grants at that point, at this point. And it's the grant is for $100,000. And And again, this is for low-income congregations, which means an operating budget of less than 250,000.
All right, thank you. And then the last question that I see in the chat is, will there be help for those who need understanding on how to fill out the application?
Sure. Part of what Connie will send you is my email, and I am happy to talk to anybody who has questions about the application. It's one of these deals where you got to fill it out all at one time. So you have to make your own document in essence, and then do any fixing and changing that you want on that document, and then you cut and paste that into the actual application form that's on the website. So yes, I'm happy to help in any way.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to raise their hand and come off mute?
I don't see the hand.
I have a quick question. If they were to receive a grant, will there be guidance and help with them to decide on the correct initiatives or
Oh,
upgrades?
Yeah. Oh, good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes. My role, by the way, is only for 5 months, and then we will be hiring a director, and the director will either have the expertise or will have access to the expertise to help the 10 congregations engage in this work. So that's a big part of the director's job, is to work with each of the congregations. We are also talking about out of the 100,000, that there would be a contractor for each congregation who will work with the congregation to figure out what's called for and how that's going to work. So there'll be plenty of help as the congregations are engaged in this effort. And thanks for asking that, because that really is a very important piece of what we are offering.
Yeah, Kendall and I are also happy to help any of our members apply. So let us know. I will make sure to get an email out with everyone's contact information and link to the application. So are there any other questions before we move on?
Let me say one thing that we do need help with, and that is to tell lots of congregations in Michigan about this effort. We do want a lot of applications for the reasons that I said. We really want diversity. We want geographical diversity. We want to have at least one congregation in the UP, as I said. So anything that you can do, either in your own regional body, and I know there's a couple of people who are representing regional bodies here on this call. Make sure that your congregations that would qualify know about this and are encouraged to apply. But I'm sure all of us know people who live elsewhere in Michigan. And if there are people who you think would be good at interpreting what this project is all about, please tell them. That would be really very, very helpful. And again, the application deadline is September 12th.
Yeah, this is Gerald Hoyer from Bethany Lutheran. I don't see the hand, so excuse me. On the it's not showing up. So on the operating budget, is that the actual or the forecast?
The actual.
The actual, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and less any mission related.
Yes.
Okay, and so just kind of sum it up. if we've already done some energy efficiency here at Bethany, can we mention that if we apply?
Please, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, historical is okay, and then.
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
solar
yeah.
is-
No, that's actually very important. I
okay.
mean, it's especially if you said like, oh, we could afford $20,000 to do X, but we couldn't afford to do Y.
Correct.
I think that would be a very important thing to say.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it would be the kind of, and it's kind of information that I would want to get anyhow. I mean, that would be very important as the group that's going to choose the 10, works on this question.
Okay.
So Rich, on the application itself, when you open it up, is there, or I could perhaps send this to our members, just all the questions in a Word document, like get them into a Word document or in one spot? Or could they copy
in
and
fact,
paste?
I would do that. Yeah. We have not done that, but that wouldn't be that hard to do. And I think that would be very useful.
Because, yeah, I mean, I've done a zillion grants myself, and sometimes it's just better to have it ready to go, and you're kind of see all your questions at the beginning, and you can write in your document. So we can probably work on that. Is there another round of this? If this is successful, do you think there might be any more future?
I really don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, I would sure hope so.
Yeah.
Because I think there's more than 10 houses of worship in Michigan. But at any rate, yeah, I hope so. I think it's a good model. Part of what, part of the goals, and we say this in the application, so this is clear. One of the things that we want to do is after we have this project completed and we have a chance to evaluate it and share that information with congregations and houses of worship in Michigan, that we then say, go and do likewise. I mean, go and make this happen in your own congregation or in your regional bodies or wherever, because this is a way of teaching us all what makes sense. I mean, we're going to learn so much out of this process, and we want to share that with lots of congregations in Michigan.
Great. Well, thank you, Rich and Steve. And we will, I'm sure, be in touch with lots of questions.
Great.
So we're going to go ahead and just briefly go a little bit into the second portion of our meeting, which will be a little bit more about some upcoming programs that we're running for Detroit 2030 District and House of Worship members, obviously, and a little bit about the treasure hunt program that we're going to run again. So let's see, Kendall. Kendall's going to go over a few different programs that are free to our members that she works day and night on. So Kendall, take it away.
Thanks, Connie. Yeah, so something that is exciting that we've been working on with DTE, both in Detroit and Ann Arbor with the 2030 district building members, is this pilot program that DTE is offering. And what they're doing is they're automating your building's energy consumption data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager, which is huge because then you don't have to pull out your monthly bills and manually input the data yourself. So when you get, so the 2030 district, we help get you set up with this. DTE inputs 2 years of historic energy consumption data. And then every month going forward, that data is updated in Portfolio Manager. So this is really exciting. This, allows you to not have to do this manually and, remember to do it on a monthly, quarterly, or annually basis. So if anybody's interested in learning more or interested in being a part of this, please feel free to reach out to me. And I can put my email in the chat. Next slide, Connie, unless there were any questions. All right, and this is another offering to our building members. We have a custom building member dashboard. This may be especially of interest to the houses of worship that are going to be moving forward with the Eagle Grant funds, but this allows you to view similar information that you can in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. But in addition to that, it also allows you to do asset tracking and also tracking energy efficiency measures and projects. So this would be especially useful for a house of worship that has done an energy assessment and knows what improvements they're moving forward with, and those can be input into this dashboard. It also connects you to the DTE rebates that are available as well. Next slide. And if you are not aware, this year we relaunched after COVID the first Detroit Energy Challenge, and we celebrated awardees at the first annual Detroit Energy Challenge Awards breakfast in June. And we're really excited to continue awarding buildings that are reducing their energy consumption. This is very similar to the Michigan Battle of the Buildings, except that we're specifically highlighting buildings in Detroit. And we are partnered with Michigan Battle of the Buildings. So any building in Detroit that enrolls in the Detroit Challenge is also enrolled in the statewide challenge and vice versa. So we will be holding this again next year, and we'll be sending out communications in the next couple of months as we get closer to the deadline for when you need to submit your energy consumption. It's usually the end of February that you need to have all your energy consumption data entered into Energy Star Portfolio Manager from the prior year. So that would be 2022 data. And then lastly for me is just reminding everyone, or if you're not familiar, that there is a free solar assessment that's available to nonprofits or houses of worship in the city of Detroit. Well, I think it is specific to Detroit, but this is being offered by the Renewable Energy Committee, which is part of the Detroit City Council Green Task Force, and it's free to apply. We can put a link in the chat to this or send it out in a follow-up email. But again, just wanted to let everyone know that there are free resources available if you don't know where to get started and you just need some guidance. This is a great resource.
Thanks, Kendall.
Thank you.
Just a couple more things before we go. Yeah, got a little bit of time. As you all know, we get together once in a while and have some in-person meetings. It's been a little later this last couple of years because of COVID. But I'm excited to announce that all 24 districts across North America are coming to Detroit in October. We get together once a year. Well, the last two were virtual. This is our third year trying to plan in-person summit in Detroit. They were supposed to come the last 2 years, but we made it virtual because of COVID. So we're going for it this time. So everyone's invited. The public is invited to this Tuesday night welcome reception. Tickets will be on sale next month, but it'll be pretty reasonable for our building members. There's food and drinks, so it'll be worth the ticket price. Super excited about our keynote speaker, our sponsors. Gonna be lots of fun. It's gonna be at the IBEW Net Zero Energy Center over in Corktown. So just save that date. Wanted to let everybody know about that. And if you don't know, we have a pretty large following. Sign up for our newsletters if you really want to keep up on everything. The link's at the bottom of my signature, which you'll see when I send back out. We also have Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and actually Instagram, which isn't on here. But our newsletters are full of a lot of information, gives you all the links to sign up for things too. And our House of Worship meetings are usually in there. I think, oh, just want to talk a little bit about how people can get involved with the district. If you're new and don't know, there's 3 districts in Michigan. We have many partners that are involved in all 3. So people can sign a building up into our program for free. You can sponsor an event. You can become a business that supports us or a volunteer. So now I'm going to go into our House of Worship Treasure Hunt program. So we actually finished this early spring last year and had a celebration. This is our celebration photos. We started with 6 houses of worship and ended up with 4 people graduating, 4 organizations graduating. This was a pilot program with Michigan Interfaith Power and Light, Detroiters Working for Environmental Justice, and of course EPA for Congregations, which for some reason their logo is not on here. So I apologize for that. Anyways, these down at the bottom, you can see our partners. So what we did was EPA for Congregations has a treasure hunt. It's more or less a checklist of items and things you need to look at in your house of worship to help you reduce energy consumption. So we took that list and we decided to educate our members every month on a different topic. We also added into that recycling, stormwater management, and I believe a couple other, but we ran it for about 8 months and we had all these companies come in with their expertise. Hang on, I gotta let somebody in. All these different companies came in with their expertise once a month. We are going to repeat this starting in September. It'll probably go till April or May when we have a celebration luncheon again. So what your commitment is as a house of worship is to, is to show up at our monthly meetings, learn, and then you'll have a team of people that will help you if you want to move forward with any of the initiatives. So it's really just a learning experience to help you learn about different ways to reduce energy and water consumption. And all the other things I talked about. We may even cover charging stations next year. So you can apply, and we're hoping to get another 4 to 6 participating houses of worship. I think some of the people are on the call here today that were in this. If anybody wants to talk about their experience, Gerald or I think Steve just jumped on. Anybody want to talk about their experience through the pilot here? Gerald's not, he's gone.
I can.
Who?
Yeah,
I
this
can't.
is Gerald at Bethany. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Gerald. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was listening. I found it very
Can't see.
worthwhile. We learned some things. I'm sorry, I got my camera turned away.
There we go.
It's movable. Sits on my desk here. My hand moves. Anyways, no, found it useful, and also we got some free stuff. So that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Especially when they came through, and yeah, so we got some free light bulbs and we got some free water filter, whatever they called. But anyways, but it's very well worthwhile.
Thank
And
you.
you get some food once in a while too.
Yes, yes, we feed you when we can. These
Depending
are
on
all
what we're doing.
these are all virtual meetings. However,
Yeah.
you know, we did our celebration in person. So Steve, do you want to say a few words? You just hopped on.
Yes, thanks, Connie, and hi, everyone. Sorry for being tardy. As you can see, I'm double tasking here. So yeah, ditto to the free stuff and to the food at the celebration event. And it was extremely helpful. I mean, it was very, very specific and tangible in terms of the recommendations, especially when we had a chance to walk through with the engineer. You know, they're very specific items to our facility. And I think moreover, just again, to agree with what was already said, but you know, just being in a network of folks who are doing the same stuff, it can be very lonely out there in this particular vein of things when you don't have a network. And having now discovered some overlapping networks, notably this one, we've been thankful for that, and they've been as helpful as anything. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the application to join us for this next treasure hunt is not quite ready yet. I will get it out to you when it is ready. We're hoping to start it in September, so the applications would be coming out next month. I just noticed that Kat Diggs is here today, and Kat was a volunteer with us, and she's now at U of M, C student, right? Do you want to say anything about the program, or she was with environmental, Detroit is working for environmental justice?
Yeah, I'm really thankful to have been a part of it. And I'm really happy that there's going to be a new kind of season for it. Yeah, I thought it was a really, like Steve was saying, I thought it was a really great way of like connecting with people and like becoming more sustainable in your building, like a more approachable and more humanized and personalized, rather than have it be just this endless list of things to do that you can't afford. So I think this is a really cool approach to doing this work, and really important community leaders like Houses of Worship in Detroit. So and I'm hoping to see something like this be replicated across the nation.
Great. Just an example of some of the topics that we would cover: HVAC, lighting. Oh, Kat, help me out. Rain gardens, which several of our churches ended up getting through this program. Kitchen energy reduction, topic. Any stormwater, anything else? Recycling. We had recycling on there. Solar. So
yeah, I think you covered all of it. And I think also, just in general, how to fund initiatives like this was one of our, and how to benchmark data, which I know Kendall was kind of helping a lot of people with.
Yeah, we do start out with, what is Energy Star Portfolio Manager, and how to get started, because if you don't have that, if you don't know where you're starting, how can you measure your reductions? So it's a good program. I'll get the information out. We're excited to be able to do it again. We did receive a small grant from GM to run this program again. So thanks to GM, and thanks to the EPA and all of our partners, including Michigan Interfaith Power and Light. And I don't know if they made it. Diane Cheklich is here from D2 Solar. They presented on solar. So I think that's all I have. Do you have a question?
Connie, I'd just like to add something. First, I want to thank Kat for helping us out, but that's one of the benefits, is that you get someone to hold your hand. Kat held our hand here at Bethany, and she had some other places she was holding their hand too, to help us through all of this stuff. So that's very beneficial.
Correct. Great. Well, let's see. We have a time for a couple more questions, or if anybody wants to turn their camera on and say hello. We haven't seen everybody. Hi, Georgia. So exciting to see you. Great to see some faces that we haven't seen in a long time, and some new faces. Bob Bedslig's on. He's a volunteer. And I'm sure Peggy's on the phone call somewhere. She's our chair. She couldn't, she's our past chair and founder, but she was a big part of this program too. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We got done just in time. And we will get all the information to you guys, as well as a short survey. If you don't mind answering my survey, it should take you 5 minutes. It'll help us towards future funding and future programming. We would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay. See y'all later. Take care. Bye.
Bye, Connie. Thank you.
Bye, Georgia.
Bye, Gesund.
Bye, Pastor Wally. Pastor Marco.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye, Calvin.
Very informative.
Pastor Glenn.
Hey, Kat, you still got your bicycle?
Yeah, always. Good to see you all.
At least you're closer this time.
Yeah.
Good seeing you. Go.
Yeah, good seeing you all. See you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Who's on the
Thanks, Bye.
Galaxy Note? Somebody's been on a Galaxy Note. Just says Galaxy Note. Won't tell me, huh? All right. I'm going to log off. Thank
No,
you.
it's Rebecca.
Oh, hi,
from First
Rebecca.
Baptist.
Okay.
I've been having connectivity problems all morning, so it was driving me insane. But I did enjoy what I heard today.
Oh, good. Let us know if you have any more questions.
All right, will do.
All right,
Thank you.
take care.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Smaller so I can stop sharing and quit recording. Stop recording.